thousands of people make sports bets all over every single sports book known to man. But they're missing one key concept that could actually give them an advantage long term. Now, when you're watching any game, what's the goal of watching the game? It's to be entertained, right? That's what the public wants. The public wants to be entertained. They want to watch a game. They want to have enjoyment. They want to have a couple of drinks. They want to hang out with their friends. They want to have fun, right? That's what they do. Sportsbooks know this. So since sportsbooks know this and they know the psychology behind people watching sports and they want to be entertained, they make the numbers for overs in totals, in player props, more attractive for that bettor because they know they want to be entertained. I'm sure you have experienced this because I have too when I first started sports betting. When you bet a game, you want to bet an over. Right out the gate, you want to bet an over. Why? Because you want to see high tempo, high offense, a lot of offense, real fun game. An over you could win, in a basketball game, you could win that in the beginning of the fourth quarter if, they're scoring lights out or whatnot. So you could win early and it's just more entertaining and it's more exciting. But that's not the only area where sportsbooks know that the public is going to bet. So they make those numbers nearly impossible over time to be able to beat. It's also where something is going to occur, whether it be a player prop. For an example, is a player going to score 20 points? Okay. Most people, if they bet the over, it's because, yes, they want to be entertained. They want to see that player come out. They want to see him put 50 up. So they're going to bet that that player gets 20 points, 30 points. Will that player get a double-double? Will that player get a triple-double? Will this player hit a home run? How many times have you seen on social media where sports bettors will mash together a bunch of home run props for a player to hit a home run? But what sportsbooks don't tell you is that is some of the lowest odds and the biggest edge in their favor. Any type of stipulation for props that have to do with an exact result for them to get that result, it favors the sportsbooks. Now, where this drastically changes is when you start taking all of your focus in sports betting and you start looking at unders and you start looking at player props to not happen, okay? So, for example, for a player to not hit a home run, for a player to not have a hit, for a player to not have a triple-double, for a player to not score 30 points. When you start looking at those player props, you switch it to it actually being in your favor when you're able to find certain areas within those props. If you focus, just think about this, okay? Common sense. How hard is it in baseball for a player to get a home run? Very hard, okay? Some players get 2-3 home runs in an entire season. Imagine trying to pick out which players are going to actually get a home run in a specific game with a specific at-bat against a certain pitcher. Just imagine that. Common sense says that's nearly impossible. Now take that thinking and completely switch it. How hard is it for a hitter to not get a home run? Completely different, right? It's not that hard. They just have to go up and not hit a home run. Now the odds are always going to reflect that. Okay, so the odds are going to be heavily favored on the side for something to not happen. And obviously, entertainment factor, it's going to be boring because who wants to sit there and watch 4 at-bats of a player not hit a home run? But that's where the advantage is. Okay, sportsbooks know that public, they all want exciting. They want overs. They want results to happen. Pros know that the edge is actually on the other side. The edge is where it's boring, where an outcome is not going to happen, where games you want to be low scoring, where there's not much going on. That's where the actual edge, where you could find a gap to create an edge long term. And that's where most sports bettors are missing throughout their sports betting career because they only focus on the overs and results to happen, not results not to happen. Anytime you're thinking about putting in a player prop for a result to happen, it's a crazy player prop. For example, in the NBA, for a player to get a triple-double. Think about how hard it is for a player to get a triple-double. Now reverse that and think about how hard is it for them to not get a triple-double. That's where you can actually exploit the sports books and create that gap and create that edge. That's where you need to take your focus and put it towards. Put it towards results not happening. Results not happening and focusing more on unders. If you just change those two things right there and you focus on those primarily, I promise you, you will become a better sports bettor long term. Another big area where you could have a serious advantage is in the prediction market. In the prediction markets like kalshi, for example, you can literally pick players in any sport to not have a result with something. Whether it be a golfer to not win a tournament, whether it be a NASCAR driver to not win a race. I can't tell you how many times I have won on the prediction markets choosing something to not happen. Even after a first round of a golf tournament, a player being in the lead, you choose them to not win. Or a NASCAR race, after the first 100 laps, the person that's leading, you choose them to not win as well. Choosing for something to not happen is more common sense. It took me like 5 years to figure this out. So if you're watching this video, you get that complete shortcut, because it took me 5 years and 5 years of losing money to figure out that transition and what needed to happen and where I needed to focus all of my time and efforts at. Now, one thing that sucks is you do got to spend a lot of time looking into all these unders and the results to not happen, because you have to do the research, right? Luckily, I've made the Linemaker AI, which is literally a chat robot that will tell you exactly which unders and which player props for things to not happen you should bet on each and every day. If you guys want a free trial to be able to check out the Linemaker AI, so that way you could fast forward through all the manual work and in seconds you could just have the answers delivered to you, make sure you guys click the link in the description. Because we are in the future now, you don't need to do all the manual work. You don't need to waste all of your time doing research. You don't need to spend hours, 10 hours a day looking at lines, looking at numbers, looking at statistics. You don't need to do that, okay? Linemaker AI delivers it literally in seconds, and all you have to do is type in the right filters. Now again, if you haven't wrote this down already, take out a piece of paper and write this down so you understand exactly how you can make that switch and you could actually start winning. Focus more on unders. Unders are where you're going to want to look, okay? Forget about the overs, forget about being entertained all the time. Forget about that. If you want to win, entertainment is not winning. Entertainment is for those who don't care to throw their money away and just give their money away to the sports books. Now, if that's you, that's okay. If you're just doing it to be entertained and throw your money away, well then obviously this video is not for you. If you're looking to make serious money in sports betting and actually turn a profit rather than donating, then this video is for you. Then write down on a piece of paper, player props. Focus on an action to not happen rather for an action to happen, okay? When you look at a result to not happen, you're gonna create a bigger gap and it's gonna become easier. You're gonna realize that once you start betting on stuff to not actually happen, you're gonna realize, wow, this is actually way easier than betting on an outcome to actually happen. Because like I said, common sense gets involved, okay? How hard is it to do a certain thing like hit a home run? It's incredibly hard. But how hard is it to not hit a home run? It's actually incredibly easy for a player to not hit a home run, right? Once you make that transition and once you realize that that's what's gonna create a gap for you to actually be successful long-term, you're gonna make money hand over fist. Like I said, I wish this information was around when I first started sports betting, because it wasn't, okay? And it took me 5 years to really figure out exactly this is the transition that needed to be made to actually being able to make money. Luckily, you guys all get to watch me because I've already suffered and went through all that, and I could just give you the information right here and teach you exactly how to do it the right way. So don't make the mistake of chasing entertainment. Chase where the value is, chase what makes common sense. As always, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.